Hello friends, welcome to Come and See with H&H.
My name is Harpreet.
And my name is Hazel.
And today we are having a spiritual check-in. You guys were probably wondering, what the heck is a spiritual check-in? So me and Hazel decided that we want to be as honest and vulnerable with you guys as we possibly can, because the Christian walk is not a linear line. And not every day is amazing. There is hard days, there's difficult days, there's days that we're mad at Jesus and we don't want to be like, I don't want to be the good idea of a Christian person like people have, but the Christian walk is a roller coaster, and we want to just share with you guys the things that we have going on in our lives, because not every day is easy for us to sit down and film and have ideas and talk about what we're going to talk about on the channel. There's days that we're like, I really don't want to do this, and so we just want to be as honest and vulnerable with you guys as we possibly can, and this is one of our ways of doing that. So Hazel, I'm going to ask you a question. The question is, if you could use one word to describe your relationship or your season that you're in right now, what would that word be and why?
I think I'd use the word steady.
Ooh, I like that word.
And it's a good place to be, but I've definitely not always been here. Last year I was in a really, really I think a very long dry season. Did not want to read my Bible. I think I told so many people about it. I did not want to read my Bible. I felt like I was praying. I just wasn't getting anything out of prayer. I wasn't hearing from God. I just felt so distant from God. And I was really trying to check up on myself. Is there a big sin in my life that's causing me to feel like I can't hear from God or something? Or is it time? Am I just getting distracted? I was trying to check about everything. And I don't know why. I was in that place for such a long time. But praise God, I got out of that season by the grace of God. I think the Lord wanted me to be in that season. He allowed me to be in that season, like he did with Job in a sense. He allowed him to be in that season so that he could depend on God. And same way for me, it's I was okay, Lord, I can't hear from you. You're like this, you're like this. Are you just not faithful to me? And I was you know what? No, God is the same. God is the same today. God is the same tomorrow. He's faithful to me, and he was he now coming out of that dry season, I feel so much more fire for God. And I'm serving in church, serving in ministries, reading my Bible, reading different books. So yeah, I definitely say steady right now.
I love to hear that, because I remember you sharing with the friend group and hey, I'm in a dry season. Am I doing something wrong? Or how can I get out of this dry season? And it's just pray for you. I don't really know how to help you. And it was on that Hazel wasn't consistent. She read the word, she went to church, she was consistent in community, but sometimes you're just in a dry season, and there's something that has to be taught in that dry season.
And it's God's gonna do something in it. It may not feel like it at that moment, but when you come out of it on the other side of it, it's whoa, I see why you did that, God. Okay, I get it.
It's always hard. It's when you see the light at the end of the tunnel, you're happy, but when you're in the tunnel, you're get me out of here!
Get me out of here! Yeah, 100%. So good.
Oh, I'm so glad to hear that.
What about you? What would you say?
I would say, this is going to sound very, very odd, but I would say right now I would describe my relationship as bipolar.
Okay.
I would say that's it, because there's days that I have, or weeks that I'm just I'm on fire for Jesus. I'm you know what, life is great. Nothing could go wrong. And if something went wrong, whatever, life is great. But I feel right now, and especially the last couple of days, I've been in a place where I feel I feel so distant from God. There's a lot of shame, there's a lot of guilt, a lot of anger, and I don't know why it's there. It just is. And I feel like I've told you this, I've been in a season of waiting for the longest time. And I feel I don't know if I'm coming out of that season of waiting, but I feel God is definitely teaching me something new in this season that I'm in. But I don't like feeling bipolar, because I have actually sat down in bed and just thought, I was is there something wrong with it mentally? I'm am I am I in a bad place mentally? But I was I don't know if I am. And so I was okay, what is going on that is causing me to have this relationship with the Lord? But in scripture we read Paul had been in that place, David had been in that place. So I'm not the first one, I won't be the last one to be in this bipolar season of my spiritual life. And so sorry, that was a lot.
No, I think you can definitely relate to David in his Psalms. there's some Psalms, he's like, Lord, I praise you. You're so wonderful. And thank you so much. I don't know why I started singing. And then there's some Psalms, he's like, Lord, you've betrayed me, God. Where are you? You know? And it just shows, like, how David is so much similar to us. Like, we are in those seasons as well, but God is still so present and not changing, and he loves us.
Exactly. And it's like, I think it's easy for me to be like, believe the lies.
Yeah.
That like, I'm like, I have Satan telling me, like,
Wow.
you're not good enough, like, God's mad at you.
Wow.
And it's like, oh, what did you do? Like, you had to have done something. I remember reading this, like, quote. It says, when you sin and when you feel distant from God, don't run away from God, but run closer to God, because only God could actually make you work those feelings.
That's
and like
so
not have that distant feeling.
So
and like I felt like this morning, especially when I was on my way to work, I felt so convicted. I was just like, oh, okay, I'll sit down and process. But then like I use up all my time with other things.
And you don't have time. That totally reminded me of Adam and Eve. When they sinned, what did? They hid from God.
Yeah.
And God was like,
oh, dang, girl. Sorry.
No, but like, for real, that reminded me of that. I'm like, when we sin, we hide from God. We try to like sneak away from God. And God's like, no, child, come to me. Come to me. I already know what you've done, and I still love you. Yeah. Like, when Jesus died on the cross, he knew what we were going to do. And he still chose to keep going and die on the cross for us. So that's... Wow, that's encouraging.
That is really encouraging.
Yeah.
It's definitely encouraging.
That's awesome.
But the second question we have is, Hazel, what is God teach? What is the one lesson that you feel like God is teaching in this season of life?
So something my church has been talking about recently is that God's sovereign. Like, he is all powerful. And it's like he has the ability to do anything. Like, with a snap of a finger, like, the earth could literally break apart. Or, like, I could get $1,000 landed on this table right now. You know? Like, I'm just saying, like, God could literally do anything. And when I think about that, like, I can find so much peace because I'm a big planner, guys. I literally, like, when I started Jessup, I planned my whole 4 years here. Like, every single class I was taking every single semester. I'm a big planner. But with my future, I can't plan. Like, I don't know what my future holds for me. And I just graduated college, so I've been very anxious. And but I've been reminding myself that God is sovereign. And not only that, he's all loving, like an all loving, all powerful, all like all sovereign God who's in control of everything has good things planned for me. There's a verse in Romans that it says, like, God works all things together for the good of those who love him and are called according to his purpose. And his definition of good is not my definition of good. His definition of good is me bringing him glory. And that's the best thing for me, and that's the best thing for him. Yeah. So he's working something in there, and it may be hard for me to believe it, but I know God's doing something. And also I want to say, like, my mom, she's like one of the most loving people I know. She's
pretty amazing.
If she was all powerful and all loving and everything, I know she'd want the best job for me, or the best spouse for me, or whatever, best car for me. And just like what she wants for me is the same thing God wants, but so much more, so much better. So that's what I'm thinking about this season.
I love that.
What about you?
I would say, as this is so polar opposite to what I just shared, but I feel like God's teaching me, what does joy look like? What does truthful joy look like? Because as I shared earlier, like, I feel like I'm not in a place where I'm like, I feel that joy. Like, some days I do, some days I don't. And like recently I was like thinking about, what is joy compared to happiness? And happiness is like having materialistic things, but it's not like deep within. But joy is something that is deep within you, and nothing could ruin that. Like Paul says in Romans, I think maybe Colossians, I don't know what book he says it in, but he says, like, in everything I am content. Philippians that like he is content. And I was thinking, what does Paul's contentment mean? And I realized that's joy. Like, that's what I think of as joy. And so I feel like God is teaching me, like, just be content, just be joyful. Like, in everything that's going on in your life, just be joyful in it, because it's through that joy that I'm reminded of who God is. But I'm also able to get through that hard, ugly, dark tunnel part, like, and get into that light. And like, I'm not saying that like I have to be joyful every single day. But there's something about being happy and versus being joy. Like, happiness and joy are two different things. Happiness is not the same thing as joy. Happiness is like, oh, I'm like reading a book. Oh, I just got like my favorite food, and that's happiness. But joy is like when people are like, I've never like, oh, I remember like it was my wedding day and I felt so happy. But I don't think that was happiness. I think that was joy. Like there was something deep inside of them that was just like, I am like, wow, just in awe. Or like when we go out, I love like the other day. It's been really hot here.
Oh my gosh,
but like I think it was like 2 or 3 days ago. It was like 83 degrees with a nice breeze, and I like sat, like I stood outside and I just stared at like the weather, or like the outside,
nature.
And I was just, my dad's like, are you okay? And I was like, Dad, it's just so beautiful, and like it made me feel like happy. But like I don't think that was happiness. I think that was joyfulness. Like I was in awe of like creation, and when we're in awe of the creation, we're also in awe of the Creator.
Wow.
And so,
dang, say that again, one more time.
When we are in awe of creation, we're also in awe of the Creator.
Wow, that's good.
And I remember our pastor actually a while ago, he actually talked about like how when we, how does God speak to you? What does that look like? And one of the things was like when we are like, wow, like nature's so beautiful, or when we like think of something as being beautiful, like we're also like praising God for that.
That's good. That reminds me of that verse in Romans. It says that like he speaks to us through nature, like he reveals himself to us through the nature. Like that's good.
And like that just goes to show like God doesn't have to talk. Like the way that God talks to me, he probably doesn't talk to Hazel. Like we're all so different, but yet we're all like so connected. And like this is a verse in Romans, it's Romans 12, that says like there's so many multiple body parts of what is it?
There's like different body parts.
There we go.
But like
one body.
Yeah, one body.
Yeah. So like we all have different functions. We all have different functions. That's what it is. We all have different functions, but we're one body. And I think it just goes to show that like I have different desires. The different things I like is not the same thing Hazel likes, but like we are both honoring God in those. And so sorry, I went on a whole rant, but
no, I love that. I love it. And I think there's a verse in John, and it says like Jesus has spoken these things to us so that in him our joy may be full and our joy may be complete. Like we cannot find complete joy in anything the world offers. Like boys, money, like nothing will give you joy besides Jesus.
It may give you temporary happiness.
Exactly.
But do not confuse that for joy.
Yes.
Because joy and happiness are very different.
Yeah. And I think like happiness is dependent on our circumstances, but joy is not dependent on our circumstances.
That's good.
Yeah. So yeah, I love that. Well, thank you for sharing.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Friends, that's all we have for you guys today. I don't want to say if you have questions or concerns about us, but we would love to like hear from you and see how you're doing, what season of life you're in, if like God's like if you could relate to me and Hazel, or if you can't relate to us, or if you have been in a similar season and you have something to like offer us. We would love to be encouraged by you as well. Yeah. So please reach out to us by Instagram, by TikTok, by Facebook, or even on the YouTube channel. Please reach out to us. We would love to hear from you.
Yeah. Leave comments down below. Like we want other believers to see what you guys are going through as well. Like this is a community.
Even non-believers.
And non-believers. Yeah, we just want everyone to feel welcome to this channel. And then also prayer requests or praise requests. Fill out our prayer request form down below, and we'd love to like check up on you and see how you're doing. But if you don't want to share a name or number, you totally don't have to. But we'd love to stay in touch and keep in contact.
Yes. Until next time, beautiful friends, stay safe and blessed. Grace and peace. Bye.